Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But, you know, KSJE is now listener-supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. 8 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Wednesday morning, the 16th day of April, 2025. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air here in San Juan County, New Mexico. In Durango, Colorado, we broadcast at 103.3 FM. And if you're listening anywhere else on the planet today, you've gone to our website to do that, and that's ksje.com. I also want to welcome our viewers who are joining us this morning. The video of today's program streaming out live to the KSJE Facebook page and also to our YouTube channel. So welcome aboard, everyone. Glad that you are with me this morning because coming up, it's a busy Wednesday morning. We're going to start off with news about the Equus Mustang Matinee program coming to Farmington in the Totah Theater this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 6 p.m. We'll learn all about it, a special presentation by the San Juan County Historical Society. Join us for that conversation coming up in the next few moments right here on KSJE. And then later on this hour, I'll be checking in with Congresswoman Teresa Leger Fernandez. She is visiting San Juan County today and talking about some of the things that she is doing while she is here and some of her concerns about the budget in Washington, D.C. and some of the federal programs that are being impacted by the Trump administration. Stay tuned for that conversation later on this hour here on KSJE. Mick Hess is standing by to take us roving with the arts after the news at 9:06. And at 10:30 today, our local and regional author program, Right on Four Corners, with host Delcherie Gladden. Today, Delcherie is speaking with author Robert Skeed about his book, Legend of the Narwhal. That's coming up today at 10:30 on KSJE. You can also connect with us on X and Instagram, and if you're a podcast person, you can find KSJE podcasts. They're available where you're already listening to podcasts, so check it out. Outside our studios here at San Juan College, it's a partly sunny Wednesday morning, 55 degrees at the moment. We're expecting increasing sunshine today, but winds kicking up there. Winds could be up to 35 miles per hour this afternoon. The high 75 in Farmington today. A windy night tonight with a low of 48. Another windy day tomorrow with a high of 66 on Thursday and a low of 44. And then chance of rain or snow showers on Friday and Saturday, 50% chance, with highs only in the 40s by the weekend. Back with my guests with more right after this on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center. The most important ingredients to sustaining health and wellness are the resources and tools that help you live a vibrant and healthy life. At San Juan Regional Medical Center, the goal is to promote health by making sure those resources are available. Find the path to the best life at lifebetterhere.com. San Juan Regional Medical Center. Better is our mission, improving lives through personalized health and care. Joining me here in Studio A to talk about this upcoming event to honor horses and much, much more, including the local history here in San Juan County. Lauralee Harper is here from the San Juan County Historical Society. Welcome back to KSJE. It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here, Scott.
Thank you for coming in. And gosh, you put together quite the eclectic event this Saturday.
It is. It's a lot to take in.
Right.
It's going to be fun to describe for you what the day will look like.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to talk about, so we'll get right to it. But just the headline, everyone, is April 19th. Pretty much from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Totah Theater in downtown Farmington. You're calling it the Mustang Matinee.
The Equus Mustang
Matinee. Pardon me, that's right. And so all things horses.
Oh, well, not necessarily, because it's really hard to talk about a horse if you don't talk about people.
Okay,
and so
that's true.
What the horses do for us is they, when you look at their history and their DNA, then you start learning more about the movements and the people that bred them.
Right.
And so that makes it all the more interesting for history.
Very true. And the last time, one of the last times you and I talked was about your film that you had been working on and the history of a certain type of horses in this area, right? And so that's another part of this date as well.
That's right. It's really amazing, and everything ties in, with our northern New Mexico horses. But what we learned before is through my horse Rambo and his DNA, that he was a horse of northern Spain. His originations are the Guarano of Galicia,
Right.
the Galiceño, and then he's also a Welch pony and a draft horse. And so we learned previously that in a study of 40 horses, their DNA in 2013, that our horses are those horses of the European heavy horse, and that they are of the Galiceño and those horses of the Northern Alps of Italy, Spain.
Amazing.
Portugal, yeah.
And you're able to trace all that back.
And you're able to trace that through the DNA.
Yeah.
Oh, and through research.
Yeah, exactly, which is wonderful. And so a portion of your film will be part of this event.
It
on
will
Saturday,
be, yes,
you were telling me.
At 5:30, we're showing the Mustangs of the Caracas Mesa, but the episode 2 will be the Mustangs and the Mustangers.
Okay.
And it will really detail the history of the Mustangers of the Laguna Seca and the Caracas Mesa and Middle Mesa, the America Mesa, and how they used to capture those horses.
Wonderful. Looking forward to it.
And their history.
That's just one small part of the day, though, that we have
That's
to talk about. And so there's much more going on. But there is more films and more authors that are coming, and maybe some surprises, too, I would think. You never know.
Absolutely. We're going to learn some great details that I am reticent to expose right now. But,
Okay. It's okay. I know. That's what the media does, though. We try to get, we want to know this breaking news, but it's okay.
It's going to be great.
But there'll be some surprises. You sent me some great photos, too, and artwork of some of these horses as well that will be featured, correct?
The horse that you're looking at right now is a horse I named Cabresto. And I met Cabresto before Rambo.
Okay.
Okay, that was back in 2012. And
Right.
the photos that you're going to be showing are photos by T.J. Holmes. And he has been a horse of the Caracas Mesa for 30 years.
Wow.
And what's going to be really exciting is to find out the relationship between Cabresto and Rambo and their DNA and what that might tell us about the horses of that area.
Interesting. Okay. Very, very good. And this one?
That's Rambo.
There's Rambo. Okay.
And so
And that's your horse.
that's my horse.
Right.
And so he was adopted by me in 2014. I had run into a Cabresto in 2012.
Okay.
And so I will tell you that I sent Cabresto's DNA in, and as well as Rambo's, of course, to Texas A&M, but also to a new DNA, really popular now in the United States and internationally, is the Etalon. And so what's really amazing is the correlation between what Texas A&M has to say about Rambo and Cabresto and their relationship.
To each other.
To each other.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Very good. And
So
then this one.
That's Cabresto in 2012.
Okay.
The first time I laid eyes on him, and I was able to, now you're seeing what I saw in 2012 when we did an expedition up there to look at the Jicarilla wild horses.
Gotcha. So he was a wild horse.
He is a wild horse.
Gotcha. But Rambo is
Rambo,
not so much.
Rambo, this horse is always, I have to tell you that Cabresto, he passed.
Okay.
And so it's interesting to share that last year, and this is how the whole idea of the Mustang Matinee came to pass, and then how we added the Equus and all of the other things to it.
Right.
But the interesting thing is that John Beckstead
County Commissioner.
County Commissioner John Beckstead had offered $1,000 for us to put on a matinee to show the attractions of these wonderful horses for maybe a tourism opportunity in our area, as well as to tell the history of the people and the horses.
Right.
And so Cabresto here, you see him in 2012. In 2025, of course, he's passed, but he was 30.
Wow.
And so he has been a horse of that area these past 30 years. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to preserve him. And so we had plans to take him off of the Caracas Mesa in the Cabresto Canyon where he resided before he starved to death or whatever because he was struggling in his older age.
I see.
And so Four Corners Equine Rescue met with John Beckstead and me, and we planned to bring him in, but he passed this last March.
Oh, before you could do that.
Yes.
So, gotcha. But
So we have his DNA, and
Right.
the Forest Service did give me the ownership of him.
okay. Okay. Well, and that will be helpful, I would assume, as the research continues on all these horses that you are studying and looking at, correct? And that's the part of this.
That is the most exciting thing, is
Right.
because Edelon met with me in a Zoom call. And so the owner of that corporation has decided that they're going to make Cabresto a celebrity horse. So his DNA will be aligned with other horses of our areas and our wild horse areas.
Okay.
And then it's really interesting when they put in the DNA matches. The most closely matched DNA to Rambo was Cabresto and vice versa.
Okay.
But now people across the United States can see where their horse might align with Cabresto's DNA in our horses of our area.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, it's fascinating, and I know it's a love that you have that's very deep, and you love sharing it with the community, which we're all grateful for too, because we get to benefit from your enthusiasm and passion for telling these stories and finding other people who like to tell these stories and getting us all together in the same place, which will be the Totah Theater on Saturday.
That's right. And with the horses comes history.
Right.
And with the horses come art. And with the horses come tourism opportunities.
Right.
And so that's what makes it really exciting.
Exactly, and stories and things like that. So that's wonderful. Last picture I wanted to show too, and that's the two of these horses
This picture
together.
you'll see is Cabresto before he passed at 30, and he had one mare left, and that's Paint.
And that's the mare,
And
right?
that's Mare Paint, and
Okay.
she's with another band, so she's okay.
Oh, good.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
She bounced back.
Yeah.
She got
So
someone on the rebound. Good
she's-
for
yeah,
her.
yeah, she's in
Okay.
another band, and
Good.
Cabresto's gone off to California and Texas for
Right.
his DNA. So.
Yeah, there you go. But wonderful. So a big schedule. We want to share that a little bit too. Again, from 1 to 6:30 or so at the
Yes.
Totah Theater.
Doors close at 7.
Okay, and so you've got an introduction planned, and then I think some of the marketing I've seen says come downtown Farmington, have lunch, and then stay and have dinner, and make it a whole day almost downtown, right?
Yeah, make downtown a place to go on a Saturday afternoon is what I'm kind of, and well, what the San Juan County Historical Society is really excited about.
Yeah.
So let's say that you're interested in the arts. And so we do have artist Jody Brenner coming in, and she has captured the Wild Mare series. And so what she does is she takes photographs, and then she paints those photographs to tell the story of our wild horses. And of course, she's got one of the Mesa Verde horses, a painting that we're going to be raffling,
Okay.
and our San Juan Basin horses, and then the Jicarilla horses. And then along with that is this outstanding hoot. She's just a bundle of fun and excitement and Western stories, and that's Randy Samuelson Brown. And she'll be doing an author mini talk, and then her books will be on sale, and she's just got so much history
Right.
in her book.
How wonderful. She's written the book, just for the radio audience who can't see what we're putting on the screen right now, The Western Horse, A History of the Wild and Working Animal. At least that's one of the books that she's written, and she's written more than that. And then there's also a panel that gets things started, right?
That's right.
At 1 o'clock, a look into the treasure chest of Mustang history. And so that sounds like a big topic.
That is going to be probably the most exciting. Well, I don't know. It's also exciting. Everyone, and one of these, I'm going to say that's the most exciting.
Right.
But anyway,
Hard to choose, I guess, is what
yeah.
you're saying.
Well, if you come to the VIP, it kicks off with this panel, and Sarah Annan out of Santa Fe is just remarkable. She's an encyclopedia, and she'll be telling the stories of the movements of the horses, and particularly in northern New Mexico. And we have the Genesaro settlements and the Tomate settlements on up to our Apache. And so you learn more about the people because of the movements of the horses.
Got you. And that's what you said at the beginning, was you can't talk about horses without talking about people.
It's history.
Yeah.
And then from there, we have a guest, Dusty Pierce, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the continent and how things shifted, and that, there was water that separated New Mexico then.
That's right.
And so a lot of times it's hard to think about
I mean, this
those
is
things.
millions of years ago, right?
Yes.
I'm talking, right, but
Yeah.
true.
So he's going to put that in perspective for us. And then we go into Mike Leonard's story. He's married to an Apache Hickory lady by the name of Bobby Nell. And they have some of their oral history that they're going to share about the horses they know about through her grandparents and her great-grandfathers.
Nice.
And then ending up with a wildlife protection program who will say the latest technology in the 21st century on how we can manage these horses.
Which is important.
This is
That's an
important.
ongoing
In a
issue
limited
throughout the
space.
West, is it not?
It is.
Yeah.
And so what he can do is he can, wildlife protection program can take their apparatus, and from Hawaii they can chip, do face recognition, and dart with fertility control the horses. So it really makes sense in the 21st century to do it this way.
Right, and try to control that population a bit more maybe than has been done in the past.
Oh, yes.
So.
And what's wonderful is there's so many tools in the toolbox to use other than helicopters and the old way of doing things.
Right. So that'll be fascinating to hear about as well. And we've only gotten halfway through the day, so that's already a lot of things that you've got planned.
That's the VIP.
Right, for Saturday, so very good. And then beginning at 3 o'clock, you've got the films will start, and so you've got several films lined up too.
Yes, the first film block is the Equus film block, and they'll show many teasers as well as short films about how horses help with mental health, veterans, history.
Right.
So that'll be exciting to watch and to show all of the benefits of the horses.
Sure, very much so. And then I want to point out the student film that you've got as part of the day on Saturday, filmed by a short film, but locally produced.
Locally produced,
And put together, right? Yeah.
Directed by Bailey Clower and her family. So the father wrote the script, and Bailey directed the horse and kind of, said the directions that she wanted us to go.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, with her mother as co-director.
Right.
And then KOBF TV, Charlie Blanco, they just came in, and Mike McDaniel and Kenesha Yazzie, they came in and did some filming as well as I did of Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
And we tell her story, and her story is heart-wrenching, but it's happy because she met her horse, and they took each other to a level where now they know things will be okay for Bailey.
Nice.
And the horse.
Okay. And that's good to know. And the film is called Heart of Trust.
Heart of Trust.
Okay.
And that goes into the theme that the father, although there was a tragedy when she was young, and it caused some traumatic issues that she had to work through until she was 12 and met Thor.
Mm-hmm.
But the father had always trusted that his daughter was going to be okay.
Interesting. And that's the story.
And that's the story, and then the heart of trust between Bailey and the horse Thor.
Right.
And Thor is not a little horse; he's like nearly 16 hands.
Okay.
And
Big.
he was a discarded horse.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is this the first time this film has been kind of publicly shown, or
It's its first screening.
is it? That's what I
Yes,
wondered.
and that's
Okay.
really exciting.
That is a premiere, is what
Yes,
they
it's
would
a
call it, right?
premiere,
So
a
very,
premiere screening,
very exciting for that. And so, with all of this going on, I mean, that's a lot of people and a lot of moving parts, I guess, to have as part of this whole day on Saturday. And you've been working on this for a while.
We've been working on it for a long time. It's been a year, but what will be fun about this is that you can choose your own schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say you buy a VIP ticket at the Civic Center, and you decide, well, I want to go to the artist and the panel and the author talk, but I'd like to go have lunch. You might go have lunch, come back, catch another film, and then, of course, kick it all off at the very end with dinner.
Right.
But also during this time, you'll be able to look at art and purchase prints
Right.
of some of the artwork that's going to be on display. We have all of our horse organizations. So what San Juan County Historical Society is hoping to do is to collaborate and connect with our community. And so this is one of our ways. And so the organizations that we're connecting with is the Four Corners Equine Rescue, the Hickory and Mustang Heritage Alliance, and then we reached over to our neighbors because, you know, horses in history don't know boundaries, so we went over to the National Mustang Association of Colorado there at the Mesa Verde area.
Nice. Very good. All these groups working together.
Working together.
To make this possible.
And they'll all be there.
Including the City of Farmington and the Civic Center, as you mentioned, and the Historical
County
Society.
Commission.
John Beckstead, of course, and others, I'm sure. So.
The County Commission, I have to give a shout out for our great San Juan County Commission. I couldn't ask for a better county commission. I mean, they are so supportive of the San Juan County Historical Society and in its endeavors to tell history in interesting ways and reach out there. Another shout out would go to our Hickory Forest Ranger District, Jim Eaton, who has worked, you know, wonderfully with us. In fact, I'll just say a small thing he's doing now for us because the movie Carrizo is in one of the film blocks.
Oh, okay.
And so that was written by Victor A. Abeda, who the Abeda family were part of the San Juan County areas.
Right.
And so what we're working on now is we've got the list of all of those homesteaders of the Carrizo Canyon, and we have their patents. And so,
interesting.
Brian White, one of our San Juan County Historical Society members, is working with Jim Eaton, and we're plotting where each of these homesteaders lived in that tributary of the Largo Canyon.
Okay, interesting.
And in that, too, you'll find some interesting tidbits about really what was the first Catholic parish in San Juan County.
Oh, interesting. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So, still to come.
Still to come.
We'll be
In
hearing
the
some of
movie.
these stories,
Yeah,
right?
it'll be in the movie.
And so, wonderful. And again, when it comes to history, you know, I'm a history buff. I know you are, of course, and the Historical Society is so great at helping to preserve and share our history in this area. And it's so unique, and I don't know if there are many stories that, well, I know there are many stories yet to be told, and that's maybe what part of this is all about, too, right, is talking about some of these things for maybe first or second time?
Well, the oral history is so important
Right.
To us at the San Juan County Historical Society. You know, you
Those
can
family
read
histories, too,
those
and
family
things?
histories, and then they give us edification about things that happened in the past. And I think the thing that I like most about all of this is that when you tell history in a way that it's, you know, somebody else's oral history, it's told in a uniting way. And that is a way that, you know, it's just somebody else's story that happened to them and their family and how they dealt with it.
Right.
And horses in the 19th, up to the 19th century was integral to part of those stories.
Very much so. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, they were just part of everyday life. I mean, they were part of the family, I would think, right?
Without them, you had nothing.
Right. Exactly.
It's like not having water.
Right.
And in New Mexico, you had to have water and a horse.
And if you had those two things, you were pretty well off.
And sheep.
Well, that's true. Okay. A few of those things, too. But very exciting. And this is a day set aside to celebrate and learn more about that local history and the impact of horses and the families and how they developed over that time. Again, it is the Equus Mustang Matinee at the Totah Theater in downtown Farmington. That's at 315 West Main Street. Saturday, April 19th, this coming Saturday from 1 to 6 p.m., presented by the San Juan County Historical Society and others to put all this together. And you said tickets were available at the Civic Center. Is that the best place to go?
At the Civic Center or our.show/Mustang25. And you mentioned always a surprise, and there is always a surprise. So
Okay.
there's going to be a surprise at the end. And that is with German filmmaker from Santa Fe, and she's also in New York, A.T. Meyer. And she's going to be showing Prophecy, the Encounter of the Prophecy of the Encounter.
Okay.
And it is a movie about the Lakota and their belief system with the horses. And the trigger here is that you have the older generation and the elders who know the horses and its sacred meaning to the tribe, and then the children. But the kids in between, that faction in between, they've lost touch with the horses. And so it's going to be an interesting show to watch. It's 15-minute short at the very end.
Okay. Interesting. Well, we'll look forward to that as well, also as part of that. And so I wanted to ask you, too, a little bit about just the connection between horses and people and that history, you know, of how they became so you just needed to have a horse, as you mentioned, right? If you were going to do anything here in New Mexico or elsewhere across the West, I mean, they were really indispensable when it came to helping to plow a field or transportation or whatever the case may be. I mean, the horse really was that one thing that each family and ranch needed to have in order to succeed. I mean, it really was a connection, a unique connection between humans and horses, right?
Right. In the story of Carrizo, Victor A. Abedas retells his father's story, Porfirio's story about the winter of 1931. And in this area, everybody understands the history of that winter. They feel like all of the animals died off, and it was treacherous. And so there's an emotional story that kind of tugs at your heart, where they're using the horses to try to break the ice. And anyway,
Interesting.
It just was too much. The horses were cutting their legs, and so because of their love for the horses, and then because their horses were so important to them,
right,
they took the horses away and started trying to break that ice themselves.
Wow.
And so they would rather do that labor and hurt themselves rather than to injure their horses.
Sure, right.
So that's part of it. And then I have another interesting tidbit is that there was a his name is Joseph Nohorn. Joseph Two Horns.
Uh-huh.
Joseph No Two Horns, excuse me.
Okay.
Sometimes hard. But anyway, he lost his horse in battle of the Bighorn. And so he subsequently forever would do art paintings of his beautiful blue roan horse.
Oh, wow.
That he lost tragically in that war.
Right.
And so the horses meant everything to the people.
Very much
of
so.
The early days.
Right. And so, as you mentioned, books and paintings and other art will be part of this event as well on Saturday, correct?
That's right. And I want to do a little shout out too, is that we have Hickory and Mustang Heritage Alliance, Barb Kipper and then another trainer, Michelle Bell, has just published a book called Why a Mustang, and so they'll have that on sale. And so we'll have also our San Juan County Historical Society books.
Right.
The book Carrizo will be on sale, and of course we'll have Lost Communities. So lots of art, lots of books, lots of social. Wines of the San Juan will be there between 2:45 and 4:45.
Okay.
And we'll have lemonade, tea, water, coffee.
Nice. Some refreshments as
Some
well
refreshments,
during the event.
A little bit of peanuts and Chex and.
Right. Very good. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about was this other. It's on the screen now in a small little poster, basically, right? But breathe through horses, right? Is that?
Yes.
Breathing as seen through horses, right? Talk to me about that, because that's mental health a little bit, right? Isn't it?
That is mental health, and you will find that horses, when they lick their lips, it sends endorphins and it makes them relax. And we're finding also that their brain neocortex operates differently than humans, and so they breathe through their body. Their heart is through their body. They feel, they learn through their body. And you have to take a breath when you're around them. Mm-hmm. And it helps you, it helps them, and there's so much more connection that you can have when you're breathing.
Interesting. And
then the other beautiful film short's going to be Hooves, and that's horses for the healing of veterans.
Nice.
And they do that same practicing of breathing.
Right. Right. Wonderful. Well, and again, it's well documented, the connections between horses and individuals with maybe disabilities or veterans or other folks maybe. And there's just that, I don't know how else to describe it, that unique connection between that animal and the human being. And I don't think any other animal has that.
I think it probably might be lending itself to the fact that its heart is so big.
Maybe.
And so sometimes the electric energy that we get from one another in our hearts, magnifying that by 20, 30 times, 100 times with a horse.
Right.
And so they can feel you. And so I have a quick story about the San Juan County Historical Society. We call them Rambo's girls.
Okay.
They came up to see Rambo. And it was so intriguing because they each took a picture with Rambo.
Right.
And for everyone, Judy Klein took a picture. He changed his personality for each of them.
Really?
For Katie Babcock and for Judith McDonald, he matched their personality. So if you see the picture, you see Rambo behaving as
with the individual
and their personality. It was
Okay.
just remarkable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Because he's a special horse for sure.
He is, and he's a Mustang, and I think the Mustangs have a way of understanding the nuances of emotion because they pay attention. They've been raised in the wild, and so they pay attention just a little bit more than my quarter horses do.
Right. Interesting. Well, looking forward to learning more about them and us at this event on Saturday at the Totah Theater. Again, it is coming up this week, everyone. April 19th, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., the Equus Mustang Matinee. Lauralee Harper, and I'm sure your small band of volunteers who have been putting all this together are helping, and you've just jam-packed so many things into this afternoon, so we're looking forward to it.
Outstanding. I hope everybody comes, and I hope everyone sees the worth of history and joins our San Juan County Historical Society.
That's true. Lots of good work throughout the year to celebrate and preserve our common story, our common history as well, and to, again, bring some of these really special things to the public as well. So,
and those wild horses are part of that common history.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. And they're still with us.
They're still with us.
Right, which is exciting. Kind of
Great
living
attraction.
history, if you will.
A living museum.
That's right. Well, Lauralee, it's great to have you here as always. Thank you for sharing your information and passion about these animals with us and for putting this together for Saturday. Looking forward to it.
And thank you.
You bet. Thanks so
you,
much.
Scott.
You bet. You're welcome. Lauralee Harper from the San Juan County Historical Society, my guest here on KSJE. Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.